Hey everybody, welcome back to this video series where we're learning all about the Othertongue card game, specifically Othertongue 2 Word Factory Inc., which will be coming out in late August. In this video, we're going to look more closely at the actual rules of these cards and what they can do, so you'll really have a clear understanding of what this game is all about. So I just drew a card and I played it to my field, and now I'm going to use some of these rules to attack my opponent. This character here has a rule that during my turn I can choose another player, speak a sentence in any language, and if that player can guess the language correctly, they can add a point to any card. They can add a point to any card on the field, and if they can't, then I can add a point to any card on the field. So, assuming that I want to hurt my opponent, I mean, in a multiplayer game, there might be players I want to help. But let's say that I want to try to earn a point for myself, then I would have to try to speak a sentence in a language that the other player can't guess. So, let's just say for a really simple example, I said ni hao ma. Well, that's the language that I speak, and that's Chinese. But let's say the other player couldn't recognize that language, then I just earned myself a point. This game comes with these dice that you see here. This is to roll for chance, and these are to keep track of points. So if I said ni hao ma, and he says, oh, I don't know what that language is, well, I say, hey, that's Chinese, and I just earned a point that I can put on any card. Let's just say for kicks that I'll put it on him. But I can use any or all of my cards during my turn. So this card requires me to say the name of a hacker group. And a hacker group, for example, Anonymous is a very famous hacker group. If I can say the name of a hacker group, then I can subtract points from other field cards. This one lets me try to translate a noun on another field card in order to discard that card. But something special about it, I have to translate the noun into the other player's foreign language that they're learning. So if my opponent is learning French, I would have to be able to translate a noun on one of their cards into French in order to discard their card. But there's a second option too. I could translate a noun on a field card into my foreign language that I'm studying in order to deactivate it. So there's two options there for me. So you see in this game it can pay off a little bit if you know some of the languages your opponents are using. And this last card over here is a very interesting one. This one actually doesn't have a rule to be used on the field. What happens with Assassin is, if you draw this card during the game, you must discard your whole hand. So the trick here would be for me to find a way to get this card shuffled into my opponent's deck, which there are ways to do. There are some cards that will allow you to do that. And then when they draw it, surprise, they have to throw out their whole hand. Okay, now let's shift these around and let's look at what the opponents got going on here, because this particular set is really all about the takeover of robots who infect our language with their carefully chosen words and algorithms, and that's how they take over our race. So you can see over here the elements. These are kind of like the characters, the people of Earth who belong to different elements, and the earth, water, air, and fire. The robots are all have the gray color, and that symbolizes their element. So here we really get into some linguistics nitty-gritty details, because this one asks you to give an example of pejoration, which is when a word gradually becomes, the meaning of a word gradually becomes more negative over time. So if you can do that, you can turn a card up, down, or discard it. Very useful. This card asks you to give an example of a measure word or a numerical classifier in order to move a point from one card to another. Word Wraith says every time a point is added to Word Wraith, then you can discard a non-metal card. These are the metal cards. These are non-metal. So if I could use this to move a point to him, then I could discard a non-metal card. And this card here asks you to give an example of a paralinguistic cue, which is basically a nonverbal form of communication like eye contact, body language, or intonation, something like that. Okay, so you can see through this video that we are incorporating a lot of different types of language and linguistics components into this game. So you definitely need, I would say, more of an intermediate level knowledge and understanding of languages and linguistics and games to be able to play this well. Now, I'm certainly not going to rule out beginners. If you're interested in this game, you can definitely learn how to play it, and I really hope it inspires you and encourages you and fires you up to learn more about languages and linguistics. That's certainly what the game has done for me, and that's why I made it. But if you are a beginner, you'll just have to take it in bite-sized chunks. Learn what a few of the cards can do, build a mini deck, and then fight that against your opponent and go from there. Don't try to use all the cards right off the bat without understanding what they mean. Alright, so thank you so much for watching. Again, this is Othertongue 2 Word Factory Inc. And be sure to subscribe to this channel, but also to languagecardgames.com so I can let you know when this game is released.